What's up everyone, welcome back to more Reddit stories about crazy people, Karens, and all that kind of stuff. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet for more Reddit content, and as usual, we're getting right into today's stories. Tricking my slacker coworker into sabotaging himself. I work in an office with a guy I'll call Seth. Seth is that coworker everyone knows. Lazy, always passing his work on to someone else, and somehow always getting away with it. He'll sit around on his phone or go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. He's the kind of guy who will show up late, make some lame excuse about traffic, and then disappear for lunch for 2 hours. For the past 6 months, Seth's favorite target has been me. He'll send emails asking if I can help out with a project, but what he really means is do all the work while I take the credit. I complained to my boss a couple of times, but somehow Seth always managed to weasel his way out of trouble. The final straw came when he passed off a major report that was due to a client in 2 days, dumping it on me last minute. One day I casually asked him if he was good with Excel, and he admitted he didn't know much about it. Perfect. The next time Seth tried to dump a bunch of spreadsheets on me to organize for his next report, I agreed. But this time I embedded a series of hidden formulas into the documents. These formulas didn't do anything important, just enough to mess with the numbers if someone didn't know how to check for hidden cells. It took me a little time, but I was careful not to make it too obvious. The kicker? Every time Seth tried to copy and paste the data into his report, it would scramble everything just enough to be completely useless. On the day the report was due, Seth slacked off like usual, assuming I had handled it like always. When the client called, furious because the report was filled with nonsense numbers, Seth panicked. He rushed to fix it, but every time he tried to fix one part of the report, something else would break. He came to me, frantic, and asked for help. I acted confused and said, "Oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a glitch?" I gave him some vague advice and watched as he spent the entire day trying to salvage his mess. Our boss found out, and for once, Seth couldn't talk his way out of it. He got lambasted for screwing up such an important project, and was put on temporary leave without pay. I guess he'll be doing his own work from now on. Suing my cousin for $6,000 to pay for my hearing aids after he threw me in the pool. My family is all on my cousin's side for this issue, and I wanted some outside judgment. My cousin, 25 male, has always been the golden child of our generation. He's funny, good-looking, and outgoing, not to mention a boy amongst girls. He's always loved to mess around and play pranks. For the record, I really dislike this cousin. I think he's irresponsible, childish, and annoying. I have had hearing problems for years. I recently got a $6,000 pair of hearing aids. Recently at my grandmother's birthday party, we were all eating and drinking on the back porch. My grandmother has a pool. My cousin decided he was going to throw me in the pool because it would be funny to ruin my hair that I just got done that day. I repeatedly told him to stop and put me down, in a very serious and not playful at all tone. He threw me in the pool and my hearing aids were ruined. Afterwards, when I told him what happened, he basically said, "Whoops, didn't know you had hearing aids now." When I told him the cost of them and that he would have to replace them, he freaked out and said no way. My family didn't want me to make him pay for them because I significantly out-earn him and also everyone else in the family. He was in college at the time, barely making ends meet in a call center job. His girlfriend and him have a baby and they live in a one-bedroom apartment. He refused to pay, so I took him to court. I won. He refused to make the payments after, so I took him back to court and his wages are now being garnished for the maximum amount, which is 20% of his total wages. It pushed him over the edge of what he could afford, so he's had to work extra and drop out of college to be able to pay their rent. My family is absolutely fuming at me. I think he made one bad choice after the other, and he has never given a sincere apology during this whole ordeal. Had he gave a real apology after the incident and asked if he could wait till he finished school to pay me back, I would have been fine with it, but the entitled little prick is digging his feet in at every move. So just because OP makes more money than him doesn't mean that OP should be responsible to pay for the replacements. And let's be real, if OP made the same amount of money as him, he would probably still refuse to pay. If he had actually tried to handle this like an adult, he wouldn't have been taken to court, and he wouldn't have been court-ordered to pay X amount of money every month and have to drop out of school. He had the chance to work out a more reasonable payment plan with OP without court being necessary. And I would also say that him being a father and struggling financially doesn't really give him a free pass to avoid responsibility for his own mistake. In fact, as a father, it probably would have been in his and his kid's best interest to work something else out and not let this go to court in the first place. But no, he chose the hard route. How my friend had to save a life. So let me tell the story of how my friend saved a boy from a mistake made by his grandmother. Said friend and I went to the cinema to watch a movie. We get in line at the snack stand behind an older woman and a little boy. I'd guess he was 4 or 5 years old. She tells him, "You can have anything you like, just pick, but don't tell mommy." Anyhow, the boy picks a Mr. Tom bar, which is peanuts covered in caramel/honey or some sugary glue. Anyone see where this is going yet? The grandma gets her stuff and pays. They go towards the staircase leading to the theaters and we order our stuff. By the time we're done, I had pretty much forgotten all about them. But when we got halfway up the stairs, the boy suddenly falls down in front of us, the grandma a few steps ahead of him. At first, I thought he just tripped or missed a step, but he was coughing. We did notice right away as we were chatting, but my friend worked in childcare before and crouched down to help him up. He looks at her and tries to say something but can't get a word out. The grandma gets upset and tells my friend to step away and tells the boy to get up. My friend says, "I think he has trouble breathing." "No way, he just fell and is upset. Get away," in a pissed off tone from grandma. The boy now starts wheezing and putting his hands to his face, the candy bar falling down. Now at first, my friend thought a piece of the bar went into the wrong pipe and patted the boy on the back quite heavily. As the wheezing gets worse, my friend realizes much faster than me what is going on and tells the grandma, "He can't breathe. Is he allergic? Do you have an EpiPen or medication?" She gets hysterical and starts crying because she doesn't have anything with her. My friend shouts to the crowd that a child is having an allergic reaction and if anyone has an EpiPen. A man comes running with a pen and my friend administers it. By this time, a crowd has formed, but everyone is just standing and staring while the grandma is crouched next to the boy crying over him. My friend has to remove her to give him space to breathe. I am frozen in place, completely useless. My friend looks at me and pretty firmly tells me to call an ambulance. I would have botched that too if the man on the line didn't remain calm and talk me through what he needed to know. About 5 minutes later, the ambulance arrives and takes the kid away. My friend offers to drive the grandma to the hospital. Now the rest of this is hearsay as I can only report what my friend told me went down. In the car, my friend tells the still sobbing grandma to call the boy's parents. She says, "I'll call my son." As my friend tells it, she could hear the father scream through the phone that he and his wife told her multiple times about his allergy, and if he died, that was on her. At the hospital, she left her information with one of the nurses in case an investigation was going to be done. She then quickly got out of there because the parents arrived and a shouting match with grandma ensued. So why am I telling this now? Today, the mother and the little boy called my friend and said they would like to send her a thank you card for all her help. The mother said that the boy made a full recovery and she was grateful for her son's life. After a few questions, it became clear that the little boy is not allowed to be alone with grandma from now on, and he got his very own cool backpack with emergency medicine. Happy ends for all. Why force me to share the bill when I wasn't sharing the food? I started working with a new team and they had the practice of going out for lunch every Friday. I was new to the job and I know my pay was way lower than everyone else, and months later I realized I was paid unfairly low, and I quit at the worst possible time as a revenge for a better paying job. I had loans to pay off and was also at the beginning of my career, hence was pretty calculative of my spending. Coming to the main story here, I was invited to join the Friday lunches and I liked it as well. But one thing that bugged me the most was the bill was split equally. The reason it was a problem for me was I was the only vegetarian in the group. Everyone else used to eat only non-vegetarian food and would order multiple appetizers, main course, etc., and share amongst themselves. I, on the other hand, would just order for me, one appetizer and one main dish. They would take pieces from my appetizer and portions from my main dish as well to taste it, and many days I would leave the restaurant still feeling a little bit hungry. Also, I was paying more than what I had even ordered. Usually, I used to order food totaling about $15, and with tip it would be less than $18. This was more than a decade back. But when we split the overall bill, I usually ended up paying $23 to $25. And worst of all, I was not even getting to eat what I ordered. So one day, I subtly brought up the idea of separate bills, or at least let me pay for what I order. Most of them ignored what I said, and the two who responded shot down my idea immediately, saying I was ridiculous. So that day, I ordered 2 appetizers instead of 1. The next week, I ordered 2 appetizers and 2 main dishes, and at the end of the lunch, I packed up the remaining vegetarian food and took it home for my dinner. The week after, I tossed in a dessert in the mix, and asked the server to pack one of the vegetarian main dishes straight in a to-go box. This is when their alarm bells started ringing. I have been ordering food worth $40+ now, including tips, and since it was getting mixed with the bigger pool, everyone's share had gone up to upper 20s. On my 4th week, when I was about to order, one of the guys who called my idea ridiculous suggested we separate bills for vegetarian and non-vegetarian food. That day I ordered 2 appetizers and 1 main dish. I think that sent a message. I invited everyone to taste the appetizer and offered my main dish as well. I left the lunch feeling full and not having any to-go boxes. In the weeks following, slowly the split bill concept was gone, and everyone started paying just for what they ordered. They would split the cost only for appetizers they shared. Everyone ended up paying less than what they usually paid, as everyone was ordering more than they needed, as they assumed since the bill is split equally they were getting to pay less. But this fails when everyone was doing the same. Entitled guy yells at the gate agent, gets to wait for hours. The closest airport to me is a smaller regional airport in a different time zone. If you fail to take this into consideration, you can miss your flight. One time I missed my flight this way and I'm waiting in line at the gate to get rebooked. The guy in front of me has evidently done the same thing. The agent points to a plane taxiing away from the terminal and tells him, "That's your flight, sorry." Before she can explain what his options are, he loses his goddamn mind. "Tell them to bring that plane back here. You don't understand. I have to be on that flight." He doesn't chill out until she says, "Look, one more outburst and I'm calling security." She books him on the next flight, which is at 10 p.m. It's like 9:30 a.m. now. He grabs his stuff and stomps off. I'm next. Effing great. I get to tell her the same story. "Hey, I did the same thing as that guy, but it's 100% my fault. I'm not gonna get upset. You shouldn't have to put up with that." She takes my info and prints out new boarding passes, which I assume are for the 10 p.m. flight. Instead, she directs me to a shuttle bus, which will take me to the big international airport about an hour away, and boarding passes for a flight to my destination that gets me there just a couple hours late. She could have done the same for Mr. Tantrum, but deliberately and deservedly made him wait for 12 hours instead. Alright friends, that's it for today's stories. Thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. Hit that like button if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit content. So I'm out of here, take care and I'll see you next time.